Before he called the White House home, President Donald Trump's home turf was New York City.
And back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, the future president had a big presence in the Big Apple. In this episode of That Was the News Then, we take a look back at Trump, the New York years, and how the news covered this larger-than-life businessman.
We begin with getting to know a little bit more about the man who would become the 45th and 47th President of the United States.
I don't do anything for money unless I'm going to enjoy doing it. If I didn't enjoy a certain project or development or whatever, whether it's football or whether it's building or whatever it is, I won't do it. I just won't do it. I won't do anything for money, for purely money.
But money and Donald Trump have never been strangers. The family organization he now runs reportedly has more than $1 billion in assets. Family and friends say Donald was brash and willful as a teenager, so his father sent him to the New York Military Academy for high school. Fred, his father, built his empire in the outer boroughs. He still manages the 25,000 units of housing he's constructed since 1923. Back in the summer of '82, Father Fred came to Manhattan for the topping-off ceremony of his son's Trump Tower. Being his father's son has helped supply Donald with friends in high places.
As a matter of fact, we represented his dad. His dad, Fred Trump, was a builder years ago, and my law firm represented him. I know Donald. He's exciting. He's interested. He has experience. He pays his taxes.
If you look at the whole person and his work product, you have to say that Donald Trump is an asset to the city of New York, and I like him personally. I think that someday he may very well be known as the master builder.
Donald Trump would probably say he's already proven himself a master builder. He feels the Grand Hyatt Hotel proved him a man of vision. In 1975, this place was the closed-up Commodore Hotel. Today, the Grand Hyatt's 1,500 rooms command top dollar. 1,600 people work there. And as part of the deal, Trump restored the exterior of Grand Central Terminal. In 1979, Donald convinced the city and state to pay him $25 million for the Penn Central Rail Yards at West 30th Street. Critics say it was a terrible place to build a new convention center. No transportation, no parking. But Trump says the most awful thing about the place is the state and the city wouldn't let him build it. He says that's why the center will be open 2 years behind schedule with cost overruns of at least $125 million.
I get very frustrated when I see what happened to the convention hall and the kind of cost overruns and everything else that are now projected for the convention center. It should have been built. It should have been open right now.
Trump is building the biggest hotel casino in all of Atlantic City. Harrah's at Trump Plaza is set to open in May. There's a Trump Plaza in New York City, too, a 40-story, $50 million co-op apartment house going up on 3rd Avenue. Trump's not saying what he wants to do with this place. No tinned-up tenement. This 100-unit apartment house on Central Park South at 6th Avenue will be torn down as soon as Donald can get all the tenants out. Trump says he has millionaires there living in rent-controlled flats. When Donald offered to put some of the city's homeless people in vacant apartments there, the city turned him down.
You walk down the streets today and you see people freezing. And I said, put them in those apartments.
Can you blame people for looking a little askance at that and saying, well, isn't it going to be quite unpleasant for these millionaires who live in this building? Isn't that part of what's in the back of your mind?
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I must tell you, and it's not in the back of my mind. All I can say is that we have in Midtown Manhattan possibly the only 20 vacant apartments in all of Midtown Manhattan. And they're being heated, and there's hot water. And I say, let the people stay in there until we get the entire possession.
No project pleases Donald Trump more than the 68-story Trump Tower he built atop Bonwit Tellers and Tiffany's.
I always like going first class. Trump Tower is the ultimate in first class, and that's why it's been successful.
First class is an understatement when it comes to the triplex apartment Donald, his wife, and 3 children will occupy atop the Trump Tower. There are 3 other triplexes. The one with the swimming pool in it sold for more than $12 million and sports monthly carrying charges of $5,000, utilities not included. In all, the 263 apartments in Trump Tower will bring in $270 million. 90% of them are already sold. Donald Trump likes to call his tower the world's most talked about address. Opulent is one of many adjectives that could be used to describe the 6-story atrium, where shops are paying monthly rents of up to $400 per square foot. In all, Trump expects the commercial portion of the tower to generate $28 million a year in rents. So why does Donald Trump continue to fight the city in court, demanding tens of millions of dollars in tax abatements under a statute critics call welfare for the wealthy?
We wouldn't have built housing if we didn't think we were going to get the tax abatement. When that's denied to me, but all of these other people, including an Aristotle and Estes, they get it. I really do it out of a sense of fairness. It was unfair.
Most people wouldn't even dream of doing the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So what are your dreams?
I just really want to continue to do a good job.
Bob O'Brien, Channel 5 News.
In 1987, Donald Trump was asked if he was interested in being president of the United States. Here's what he had to say back then.
On the Republican side, there's speculation that developer Donald Trump may throw his hat into the ring. His name is already well known to millions of Americans, thanks to the Trump Tower and other real estate holdings. The speculation was fueled by ads that Trump took in 3 newspapers today. Christopher Jones has that story.
To this morning's readers of the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Boston Globe, Donald Trump's full-page open letter to the American people may have looked like a rich man speaking out on American foreign policy.
Why'd you write the letter?
Because I'm frustrated at looking and seeing the stupidity of what's going on in this country with respect to essentially our foreign policy.
Fair enough, but some ask, would Donald Trump pay $95,000 to complain about foreign policy, or is this his way of saying he's running for president? The ads come at a time when a draft Trump movement is building steam in New Hampshire. So we asked him.
Are you running for president?
Absolutely not. I'm not running. I have no intention of running. I'm greatly honored that this New Hampshire group sees fit to choose me as opposed to others, because it's a very credible group. Everybody's been trying to get their support, and I'm very honored. And anybody would.
We may have to wait to see how most of the nation takes to Donald Trump, but at least one New Yorker has already made up his mind.
I find those ads ridiculous. He spent $100,000 for self-advertisements. Who's really interested in his foreign policy? Anybody? Maybe Mrs. Trump.
Ed Koch has been a disaster as a mayor. You know it, I know it, everybody knows it.
I want to make it very clear, I'm very biased. I don't like him.
Ed Koch has been a lousy mayor. I believe he'll go down as probably in history the worst mayor in the history of the city of New York. And, you know, when I say that, it's hard for him to say, I really like Donald Trump.
So right now, ask Donald Trump if he wants to be president of the United States, and he will tell you no. But if a wave of support develops for him in New Hampshire, don't look for Donald Trump to get out of the water. Christopher Jones, Fox News, Channel 5.
But in 1999, his political ambitions changed course, and Trump took the first step towards the presidency.
Guess what the top news story is? Donald Trump says he is ready to make his biggest deal ever. He wants to run for the presidency and has formed a committee to study his chances of winning the White House. He even wants a famous talk show hostess to be his running mate. Dick Oliver is at Trump Tower, where the Donald is hoping to go from the penthouse to the White House. Dick, what can you tell us?
That's right, Lynn, and we are joined by Hank Shankop, the political analyst, to take a closer look at the Trump presidency. What are your thoughts?
Why not? He's a New Yorker who gets things done. He's got his name on buildings like this one, and he has some good ideas, like telling Pat Buchanan to take a walk. He has programmatic ideas. He's got a reasonable record with working people, he's got union jobs. Why not?
All right, he appeared on the Larry King show and spoke about his potential running mate. And this is what he had to say.
The polls have been unbelievable. So I am going to form a presidential exploratory committee. I might as well announce that on your show. Everyone else does. But I'll be forming that, and effective, I believe, tomorrow. And we'll see. I mean, we're going to take a very good, strong look at it. And if I felt I couldn't win, I wouldn't run. I absolutely would not run. I'm not looking to get more votes than any other independent candidate in history. I'd want to win.
All right, what about the Trump-Winfrey ticket?
Well, it gets kind of absurd. I mean, realistically, we've had one song and dance band in the presidency. We've had a couple of song and dance band in the Senate. Why not a developer and a talk show host? I mean, this is politics in late 20th century America. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. What are the odds here?
The issue isn't whether he runs for president and wins. The issue is what happens to the Reform Party. They nominate Pat Buchanan, they get moved all the way to the right and marginalized. They nominate Donald Trump, they got a shot to create a third independent movement. And that's just the way it is, and that's why Ventura is so interested.
All right, you mentioned some of these characters. What happens now as far as that third party is concerned? You've got Ventura, you've got Buchanan, you've got Perot, potentially other people as well.
A lot of what occurs here will determine the outcome of the presidential race, frankly, in 2000. If Buchanan's the nominee, he'll destroy the Republicans. If Trump's the nominee, who knows? But more importantly, the battle here is between Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura and Ross Perot, the mega millionaire billionaire, for control of the Reform Party. If Buchanan, who is Perot's candidate, is the nominee, they'll be marginalized and moved all the way to the right. If Trump's the nominee, potentially they've got a shot to be a third force where they'll get some votes.
Generally speaking, what is the effect of third parties on the two major parties?
Well, if you look at '92 in the presidential campaign, certainly Ross Perot's run for president, which was serious. He went in and went out, if you may recall, helped Bill Clinton become the president. He took votes away from the Republicans. And it can happen either way, only because the Reform Party has a brand name and people are used to voting for it.
So you would not advise scoffing at the Trump candidacy?
I wouldn't advise scoffing at the Reform Party, and Trump is a more logical choice for them than Buchanan is if they want to be important.
Hank, thanks for coming out this morning.
Thank you.
Hank Shankopf, political analyst.
After the city couldn't do it, Donald Trump stepped in to fix Central Park's Wollman ice skating rink. But could he do the same for the zoo?
Well, Donald Trump put the ice where his mouth was. He said he'd fix the Wollman skating rink, and he did, early and under budget. The city had poured millions of our tax dollars into it year after year, and still no ice. Then along came Trump. Rosanna Scotto reports.
The Wollman skating rink has been a thorn in the city's side. No matter how hard they tried or how much they spent, the city couldn't put Wollman back together again until builder Donald Trump stepped in and did what many people call the impossible. Where the city spent 7.5 years and $15 million, Trump finished the rink in 3.5 months and about $3 million, and even saved the city some bucks.
Why it was done so quickly by me and so long? Well, talk to the city about the 7.5 years. As far as we're concerned, I'd like to say that we're capable people.
Now, just because Mr. Trump came in at record time and under budget doesn't mean he scrimped and scraped the bottom of the barrel. According to him, he used the best of everything, from construction workers to equipment.
If you look at the quality of this pour, you know, this is something only construction people really understand.
Trump acted like the proud papa, showing off the outside and the inside of the complex, while the workers put the finishing touches on everything, including the renovated landscape. But Mr. Trump was concerned. He hasn't been told yet if he can run the place when it opens, and he's worried about what will happen if he's not around.
If it's not taken care of, we're going to have graffiti all over the place in 3 weeks, and it's going to be horrible.
Somewhat obviously missing from today's media event was the king of the parks himself. Commissioner Henry Stern said he couldn't make it because of scheduling conflicts. But was he given the cold shoulder?
No, there was, well, he didn't have to accommodate me.
Henry Stern has opposed me on everything I've ever wanted to do in the city, practically, but I still like Henry Stern. I've always gotten along with Henry. He's been opposition, and I always say, please oppose me, Henry, because so far things have worked out okay.
The skating ring will open to the public sometime in November, depending on how much cold weather we get. But either way, on November 22nd, there will be a big opening night gala with stars like Dorothy Hamill, Peggy Fleming, and Scott Hamilton performing for free, only for Trump. From the Wollman Skating Ring in Central Park, Rosanna Scotto, Channel 5 News.
Developer Donald Trump made a successful takeover of the city's Wollman skating rink, and now the billionaire has another project on his mind. But as Steve Powers tells us, he will have to fight for it.
There it is, amidst the foliage of Central Park, the Central Park Zoo. To many, it's a respite from the mad pace of the city. But now it's become a battlefield, and in the trenches, Mayor Koch and Donald Trump. Trump, triumphant in completing the Wollman rink last year at a cost of about $2 million in 4 months, after the city spent $12 million in nearly 8 years, is on the attack. The battle zone is strewn with charges and countercharges. The fact is that the zoo has been closed about 4 years and will cost $28 million, $6 million more than planned.
You look at a simple zoo that's been closed from 1982 to the present, and they're talking about 6 years.
How long should it have taken?
It should have taken, I would say, no more than 12 months to 18 months.
They're saying it won't be open until next year.
Well, they're just not competent people. You're talking about people that don't have ability. and that's a shame. There's no leadership at the top. Ed Koch has been a mayor who, all he's got going is one-liners.
And Trump says he'd like a shot at rebuilding the zoo. Is Donald Trump going to move into this project and complete it?
No, the project has basically already been built. It's done. The animals will begin moving into the zoo in a few months.
There's no room for Trump den in there.
No den or even a cage.
They don't want me to get anywhere near it. Not for the good of the city, but because they don't want to embarrass themselves.
Is there something personal between you and the mayor? Is it political?
If I ever run against Ed Koch, I'd beat him, because that man is weak. He's so weak. It's so pathetic. When you look at the corrupt administration...
Are you ready to run against him?
I'm not running against him because I don't want to be mayor.
Donald Trump has said that if he ran for president, he would win. Is that braggadocio? Or as they say in Italian, chutzpah?
One thing is for sure, that at about this time next year, either there's going to be some animals behind this glass, or Donald Trump will be rattling Mayor Koch's cage. Steve Powers, Fox News, Channel 5.
In 1989, a controversial ad Donald Trump took out in several newspapers calling for the death penalty divided the city and the nation.
The personal tragedy of that young female jogger and her friends and family erupted into a bitter public controversy today. Pablo Guzman has that story.
One of the city's best-known names, Donald Trump, took the incident that occurred in Central Park to launch full-page ads in the 4 dailies calling for the death penalty and support of the police.
The lawyers, and boy do I know lawyers, they laugh at our justice system because they can keep these young men out of court for years.
The Trump ad is an ad which conveys that Donald Trump is filled with hate.
When Mayor Koch talks about the fact that I and other people in this city aren't supposed to hate people that go around killing and robbing and mugging all of us, then I disagree with the mayor.
The politicians and the powerful were not the only ones who spoke out against the attack in Central Park. The children were heard from also. The occasion was a calling together of about 100 student leaders from the junior high schools and high schools to focus students' thoughts on the violence in the park and what such violence says and does not say about our young people.
They had families who loved them, friends who cared. How could this have happened? Families can hope, protect, discipline, love, and pray for us. At some point, we are on our own.
All debates set aside, the bottom line in this case is the crime itself. The police and the Manhattan DA are continuing their investigation, and within the next week and a half, they expect to have more pieces of the puzzle put together. They have to. After all, given the severity of her injuries, the victim in this case is not expected to testify as a witness on her own behalf. From Central Park, I'm Pablo Guzman, Fox News, Channel 5.
In 1990, Trump's new casino and hotel on the Atlantic City Boardwalk opened with big fanfare, but just a year later, there was trouble for the Taj Mahal.
Donald Trump gave the high rollers the moon and stars tonight, along with a fancy laser show and fireworks to open his Taj Mahal. He's hoping they will give him at least $1 million a day at the gaming tables. That's just to break even. Robin Carter is inside the Taj right now in Atlantic City with a look at the big opening night party for you. Robin?
Well, John, from the sound of those slot machines behind me, it sounds as if Donald Trump is already breaking even, but let's face it, who really cares about that? What everybody wanted to know tonight was who was the Donald going to bring as his date for the Big Bash. Well, the party is still going on in a ballroom upstairs, so the night is still young. But I can tell you, so far, we have not seen the alleged other woman, Marla Maples. So far, we have not seen Ivana Trump, who a lot of people thought might show up. A lot of people thought that the Trumps might kiss and make up at this Big Bash. And so far, we have not seen the alleged mystery guest, who a lot of folks thought might be Michael Jackson, because he is going to be here tomorrow for a private tour. So as far as the celebrity count goes, this wasn't exactly the party of the decade, but Donald Trump did stage a carnival here tonight in a city that revels in pseudo-glitz.
Here goes nothing.
Good evening.
Master.
Donald Trump's party of the decade was a cross between Arabian Nights and Star Wars, as a laser light cut the ribbon on the Taj Mahal and a spectacular fireworks display officially christened the casino. Earlier, a triumphant Trump told the adoring crowd his billion-dollar baby is already paying off.
They talked about $1 million a day. I think, Bucky, we've done that in the first few hours. We have a lot of surprises. This building is a winner. Nobody's seen anything like it. The reviews have been unanimous raves. I've never been more delighted. I always thought when I did Trump Tower in New York, that was always going to have a special place, and it will. But now this really has to take the mantle, because what's happened here is beyond even my wildest expectations.
And among the fabulous somebodies who have already shown up for this party, model Elle Macpherson and Michael Spinks, and casino rival Merv Griffin, who lost the Taj to Trump in a bitter takeover battle.
And to think, ladies and gentlemen, that I owned this for 24 hours. This hotel casino alone is going to bring hundreds of thousands of new people to Atlantic City, and once they get a taste of this end of the boardwalk, they're never going to leave. They're going to love it. The boardwalk has tilted, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm delighted.
And the billion-dollar Taj is already shaping up to be quite a blockbuster. On Monday, the Taj was only open for slot machines, for real money, and on that day they took in over $900,000 in just 8 hours. Today, the first day of unlimited gambling, an official tells me they expect to rake in over $3 million. So at least so far, it looks like Donald Trump is winning at his latest game of Monopoly on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. I'm Robin Carter. Now back to John in the studio.
All right, Robin, thanks.
Well, the song says what a difference a day makes, but what a difference a year can make. Last year, the Trump Taj Mahal Casino opened with great expectations, but that's hardly the mood now.
One step beyond your wildest imagination. A billion-dollar dream come true.
Or could it be a nightmare waiting to happen? The Taj Mahal opened its doors to reveal a lavish casino 1 year ago today. There was much fanfare and ballyhoo, but the ballyhoo has turned to boohoo as Donald Trump's Taj Mahal failed to meet its great expectations.
So far, it's staying afloat. He's making payroll because of there's cash flow. His biggest problem is paying bondholders, and he's barely made his payments.
Now, although the Taj Mahal has led Atlantic City's casinos in gross gaming revenues since it opened, it's had to struggle to meet the average daily intake that analysts predicted it needed to break even.
The original estimate was that he had to make $1.3 million a day to break even, which would have meant somewhere around $400 million in the year in gross revenues, which no casino's ever even approached. After he has restructured his loans, I believe the dollar figure now is somewhere around $800,000 a day.
A financial stability hearing on the Taj Mahal began last December and is still going on, and will run smack into the casino's April 26th relicensing hearing. And according to Trump's attorneys, financial restructuring will put the Taj under bankruptcy protection by April 8th.
Hey, 000.
And while Trump was busy trying to keep the Taj Mahal afloat, it's possible he may have been causing Trump Castle and Trump Plaza to sink.
If you look at the numbers from last year, every property lost market share last year as a result of the Taj Mahal opening.
Taj officials anticipate they will be in bankruptcy court for quite some time. And Trump just might end up with the Trump card. Some analysts say there are two lessons to be learned here. Don't bite off more than you can chew, and all that glitters is not necessarily gold.
The Trump shuttle gave Pan Am a run for its money as the dueling airlines competed to rule the sky.
Donald Trump says he's out to divorce some Pan Am customers from their shuttle flights so he can get the business. Christopher Jones reports.
It was back in June of last year that the king of the deal, the man we have come to know as the Donald, made good on a dream and bought himself a major operation in the lucrative air corridors connecting New York with Washington and Boston. Champagne, strings, and an eager Donald Trump gave notice on opening day that Trump would not miss a beat when it came to promoting the shuttle he named, of course, for himself.
Truthfully, it was great for the Trump ego.
Right from opening day, Donald Trump has known two things about what he must do to make the Trump shuttle a big success: get there on time and get there safely. On the time issue, he proved to be just a little bit sensitive.
You got off 17 minutes late, Mr. Trump.
Well, that's because of you guys. We couldn't get your cameras on the plane.
The Trump shuttle is a major moneymaker, and so is its major competition, the Pan Am shuttle. But Trump is trying to grab a bigger share of the lucrative, mostly business traveler market, and for the rest of March, Trump will offer what he calls an unconditional guarantee. Essentially, the Trump guarantee says that if your flight's more than 15 minutes late, you have three options. You can get 5,000 bonus miles on your frequent flyer card, or you can take a companion along free on your next weekend Trump shuttle flight, or you can get a $20 American Express restaurant certificate. And we asked a few people what they'd take and if it made any difference.
I don't think they'll make very much difference in the long run. I think we're more concerned about the quality of the service.
We got something this morning. We were late, going to Boston this morning.
You were?
Yeah.
And what did you take?
The $20, the free meal or whatever.
I was actually hoping that we were going to be late.
I got $20, which I already applied to my lunch.
Pan Am says it doesn't plan to match the Trump offer. The Pan Am spokesman says Pan Am feels its passengers already know the Pan Am shuttle will arrive on time. Still, as Pan Am may discover, it's nice to be on time, but if there's a freebie attached, some may prefer to be just a little bit late. Christopher Jones, Fox News, Channel 5.
The early 90s brought trouble for Trump as his business empire was rocked by money problems.
The news media love to create heroes. The only thing they like better is tearing them apart. Donald Trump used to be the darling of the media. Now he's the latest target. Christopher Jones reports.
Call it Donald Trump's worst nightmare. His name may no longer mean success. Not if you read the New York tabloids, anyway. The unthinkable has happened. Trump may be caught in a financial vice, and if the reports are true, the banks are beginning to squeeze, worried about the more than $2 billion the Donald owes them. The talk of the possible collapse of the Trump empire began in earnest Monday on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Trump himself confirmed he was having talks with his bankers, but called the discussions cooperative and constructive. But for a man who plays close to the vest and likes to exude total confidence, the very fact the statement was made marked a new phase. All is clearly not well. The door has been opened for doubt and for jokes. Trump may have to unload the public trappings of super wealth, including his super yacht, the Trump Princess. So far, no buyers. And if Trump does sell out, Associated Press writer Larry McShane suggests Trump's next book should be titled Trump, the Living Room Carpet. Trump has argued all along that his name is on everything because his name gives more value to the things it is on. But does it anymore? What does Trump's name mean to you now?
Money. A little less, though, than it did before.
I feel sorry for him. He's coming down a lot more than most of us are ever going to come down. He's going to really take a tumble.
It's going to hurt everybody in real estate. It's going to have a ripple effect on anybody in the real estate business.
Are you in the real estate business?
I deal a lot in real estate.
I think he's just going to go down like all the rest of them. Just be rich for a while, then just get poor. Not poor, but he'll probably just be average rich. Not...
The jury is still out, but it may be helpful to remember that Donald Trump has faced heavy odds before. In the early 70s, when the Wizards wrote off the entire real estate industry in New York City, Donald Trump dove in and made millions when the experts said he couldn't. Donald Trump may no longer sail the seas on the Trump Princess, but that does not have to mean he will drown. Christopher Jones, Fox News, Channel 5.
Donald Trump and the banks that loaned him money are still locked in marathon negotiations that will probably drastically reshape the Trump empire.
Donald's in a hell of a lot of trouble.
The only thing that may be keeping him from filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy right now is all the banks. When you owe hundreds of millions of dollars to the banks, they become your partners. They don't want to see you go under.
The immediate issue, tens of millions of dollars in missed interest payments on Trump Castle Casino bonds. The beleaguered billionaire has been given until next Monday to make up the default. It's possible he could be forced into bankruptcy or liquidation and could even lose his casino licenses. But at the Donald's 44th birthday party this past weekend, Trump told his workers at the Taj Mahal Casino not to count him out.
Over the years, I've surprised a lot of people. The biggest surprise is yet to come, and it won't be much of a surprise to those of you that know. Thank you very much.
But the real stakes are even higher. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's bankers are pushing him hard to give up day-to-day control of the Trump organization. The Journal also reports the banks are no longer trying to nurse the Donald back to financial health. They're simply trying to pave the way for an orderly liquidation of his assets.
He should have gotten out of real estate 3 years ago. Instead, he was buying things like the Plaza Hotel, paying top dollar. Bought the Trump shuttle just as that market was weakening. So he missed some of the biggest cycles of his life.
A few months ago, Donald Trump was wrapped up in a steamy sex scandal with Marla Maples and was in the middle of breaking up with his wife Ivana. That battle had just started to cool down, and now the Donald finds himself fighting for his financial life. Right now, it looks like the high-flying Trump saga may land in either bankruptcy court or under the eyes of his creditors. And even then, Donald Trump's troubles may not be over. The Wall Street Journal reports Trump personally guaranteed $500 million in loans from bankers who were swayed simply by the power of the Trump name. And he could end up owing some of that money even if all of his properties are sold. John Johnston, Fox News, Channel 5.
The self-proclaimed master of the deal has pulled it off once again, and this latest deal may have saved his financial empire, at least for now. Donald Trump needed to come up with $20 million by midnight. A group of 7 banks gave Trump the $20 million to pay the interest on his junk bonds for his Trump Castle Casino. The payment keeps him from defaulting and possibly losing his empire while complex negotiations on a long-term bailout continue. The banks want Trump to sell some of his assets, but they had no choice but to give him more money right now.
The key has been to avoid a distress sale if possible.
Trump said he was happy with the outcome, which gives him 5 years to restructure his empire. But as he buys time, his financial challenge does not get any easier. Bankers had to suspend interest payments on his $2 billion of loans, and Trump needs another $45 million to keep afloat through summer. Analysts say banks are giving Trump more money because many of his assets, like the Trump shuttle, the Plaza Hotel, make money. And bankers believe that these properties would fetch greater prices after a few more years of profitable operations.
Well, obviously, the banks have considerable exposure at stake, and it's in their best interest and the interest of their stockholders that there be an orderly process available to Trump. If they were forced to deal with a fire sale mentality or approach, then they might not realize the best pricing available in the sale of some assets in order to pay down some of the debt.
As part of his new deal, the free-spending Trump will be put on a strict budget, $450,000 a month, or about $10 every minute. Most of his money will go toward maintaining the 50-room penthouse at the Trump Tower and his 118-room, fully staffed Mar-a-Lago mansion in Palm Beach. It's a lot of money, but less than the $583,000 he spent on personal expenses last month. In May, Trump also spent another $246,000 maintaining his private plane, $840,000 on his Princess yacht, $2 million in interest on his personal line of credit, and $380,000 for charity and legal fees. These business expenses, however, will not be counted in his new budget. Donald Trump's troubles couldn't have come at a worse time for the nation's banks. They have very poor earnings, and they're starting to cut back costs. Yesterday, Chase Manhattan Bank said it was going to have to eliminate 3,000 employees. Bob Plunkett, Fox News, Channel 5.
Money woes weren't the only problem Donald Trump faced in the early 90s. It was a war of the Trumps as Donald and Ivana's divorce battle heated up.
And it's a night when both sides are digging in deeper, squaring off for the battle for the billions, the Trump fortune. Donald and Ivana are lining up their attorneys, public relations people, and accountants. Our Judy Licht has the latest details.
I'm shocked to see so much press. I know the only thing they want to do is discuss the tour to Trump today.
Wrong, Don. They wanted to talk divorce like everyone else.
I feel bad for Ivana. I don't think he's handling it very well.
What do you think she should get?
A lot more. Well, she deserves all she can get.
The whole town has an opinion on the so-called War of the Trumps. The divorce of the decade has turned into a duel between the leading gossips, Liz and Cindy, for the greatest scoop.
Even the lawyers and the publicists are duking it out. Ivana has hired public relations whiz John Scanlon to take on Donald's firm, Howard Rubenstein and Associates.
And yesterday, Ivana's lawyer, Michael Kennedy, threatened to sue Rubenstein for allegedly slandering Mrs. Trump.
But enough of the bishops and the pawns in this chess game. Let's get back to the king and queen and find out how this latest round supposedly started.
The real break came because they went to Aspen, and there they were, the happy couple, and they kept bumping into this actress, Marla Maples, and she's the one that Donald has supposedly been seeing for about a year. And my sources tell me that Donald went out on New Year's Eve, and instead of bringing Ivana, he brought Marla Maples to a party. Evidently, one day, Donald and Ivana were skiing, and they stopped for lunch at this place called Bonnie's, when there was Marla Maples, and supposedly Ivana had some words with Marla Maples. Basically, stay away from my husband.
There are lots of Mrs. Mapleses. I mean, Donald was blessed with the genes of John F. Kennedy. John F. super stud, you know.
And Cindy Adams says Donald met with Ivana just yesterday.
He went alone. It was a very emotional meeting. She was totally drained. She was crying. It was a very heavy, heavy situation. They talked somewhat. She wants $150 million. It's a nice round sum. She would also like to have a jet plane. She would also like to have the plaza.
What about the prenuptial agreement?
I spoke to Donald today. Donald says, quote, I will be fair to her. What does fair mean? He says, I have always loved Ivana. I am very devoted to her. I am very devoted to my children. I have always been good to her. I will be good to her now.
Today, representatives from both sides tell us that they want things to, quote, cool down a bit so that, quote, reasonable heads can negotiate in a reasonable fashion. But when you're talking about $1.7 billion, you wonder how reasonable can that be? Judy Licht, Fox News, Channel 5.
Donald and Ivana Trump have officially ended their 12-year marriage. The two were divorced today after months of gossip and scandal. And while the knot may have been untied, many loose ends remain. Eric Shawn has our story.
I've treated Ivana very well. I will continue to treat Ivana very well. I think everybody knows that. All of the people that know me know that.
Donald Trump is a man who, it seems, gets what he wants. And now Trump is once again a bachelor, thanks to Ivana, his former wife. Behind this closed door at Manhattan Civil Court, the Trumps officially split. The divorce was granted to Mrs. Trump by New York State Court Judge Phyllis Gangle Jacob, who wrote it was based on Mr. Trump's cruel and inhuman treatment, such as made it unfaith or improper to continue to be married. At the Plaza Hotel, just hours after the divorce was made final, Trump said he has not yet decided if his ex-wife will remain as hotel president.
I haven't really made that determination. It'll be made over a period of time.
The divorce comes after 12 years of marriage, 3 kids, an empire, a yacht, estates, hotels, a breakup, near bankruptcy, Marla Maples, and last week another new playmate, Miami model Ruann Brewer.
He said, what a great time for a divorce to come about when there is a recession and everybody thinks that I'm not worth very much money.
Ivana is still pressing ahead with her lawsuit to throw out the $25 million postnuptial agreement she signed, but now claims is invalid because Donald was allegedly cheating on her.
That $25 million is not there, I believe, so she has the right medicine, but too late in the illness.
Lawyers for both sides refuse to discuss the divorce, which will have no effect on the maintenance, child support, or other money issues that should go to trial this spring. So while the Trump marital union has legally ended, it seems the domestic saga of New York's most famous divorcee and her ex will play out on the front pages in coming months. At Civil Court, I'm Eric Shawn, Fox News, Channel 5.
It was the clash of the titans, the business titans that is, when Donald Trump and real estate powerhouse Leona Helmsley took their dislike for each other public.
And Donald Trump and Leona Helmsley now agree on one thing. It's how much they dislike each other. And the war of words is growing. Christopher Jones reports.
One might think that when the mighty fall, at least they might have some sympathy for those plummeting with them. But while Donald Trump and Leona Helmsley have been to the mountaintop, they have not exactly been ennobled by the experience. In case more evidence is necessary, the November issue of Playboy magazine carries an interview with Leona, better known as the Queen of Mean, the title of an upcoming CBS television movie.
He charges that the owners of the building, that's me, Leona, and their sales brokers, that's you. Get to the point.
We may get to know a little bit more about Leona when the movie airs, but we already know just how she feels about Donald Trump. After telling Playboy she did not want to talk about Trump, she proceeded to lash out at him. "You watch," she said, "he's going to be left flat on his can, and it couldn't happen to a nicer person." Her attack was a clear response to Trump's own remarks to Playboy, published earlier this year. Trump on Leona. "She is a vicious, horrible woman who has systematically destroyed the Helmsley name." Leona on Trump. "I wouldn't believe Donald Trump if his tongue was notarized." Trump on Leona. "Leona Helmsley set the women's movement back 50 years. She is a living nightmare, and to be married to her must be like living in hell." Leona on Trump. "He's a sick, 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 sick boy. He lies for his own benefit, of course." Trump on Leona. "She's out of her mind, a truly evil human being." And Leona on Trump. "He's a snake. Now he doesn't have any money. If Ivana gets $1 million, she'll be lucky." And it goes on and on. But why hear more? You might get the idea that Queen of Mean and the Donald don't care for each other.
I'd say it's the kettle calling the pot black. Now you've got to decide who's the kettle and who's the pot.
There must be a lesson in all of this for us, the little people who pay taxes and think 3 bedrooms make a big apartment. Pick one, and then the next time you walk past Trump Tower or Helmsley Palace, smile. After all, if you owned one of those places, you'd just be miserable. Christopher Jones, Fox News, Channel 5.
It didn't take long for Donald Trump to bounce back from his money problems. In 1992, things started to turn around for the Donald.
1992 certainly turned out to be a good year for Donald Trump. The man many thought was finished is now on the comeback trail and sounding as confident as ever. Fox interviewer Daphne Barak spoke with Trump recently, and Christopher Jones has the story.
Donald Trump, the businessman, as superstar.
Hey, folks, how we doing?
The man on the street, the man and woman on the street like me. If I walk down the street, the taxi cab driver, the bus drivers, everybody screaming, "Donald, we love you, Donald, we love you, Donald." Those are the people that I like best. Those are the people that like me the best.
Who likes Donald Trump in here? Hey! Who doesn't like him? Have a good time, everybody. You want to go upstairs?
For a while there, it looked like Donald Trump was going to be yet another casualty of the 80s. But suddenly, Trump is creating a new role for himself, the comeback kid, a 90s survivor. Telling Fox interviewer Daphne Barak.
It's been a rough 2 years, and this has been maybe 1992 has been perhaps the best year of my life. It's been just an incredible period of time.
It hasn't been easy for the Donald. His personal life was the stuff of newspaper headlines. The messy divorce, the on-again, off-again affair with Marla Maples. Then there were the endless meetings with bankers as he struggled with an estimated $5 billion in debt.
During the bad years of 1990 and 1991, I had some really, anxious moments, but somehow I have something in me that doesn't let me think negatively, and I always thought that I'd succeed, and I always thought that I'd make it back.
Forced by his bankers, Trump attacked his mountain of debt, selling assets like the Trump shuttle, his yacht, stakes in Alexander's, and the Grand Hyatt. He also sold off large chunks of the Plaza Hotel and 2 Atlantic City casinos.
When I sell, let's say, a 20% interest in the Taj Mahal in New Jersey, I get a lot of money for that. And by getting a lot of money, I pay off debt, or I reduce interest rates, or I do other things, and make it even more successful. I mean, I predict that in a year from now, I'll be more successful than I was 3 or 4 years ago.
Even so, analysts believe Trump's debts still outweigh his assets by hundreds of millions. But Trump still has his name and his fame, and he's trading on both, adapting his business philosophy to the new realities.
And I think that's where the 90s are going to be different for a lot of people than the 80s. I think there's going to be less borrowing, and I think there's going to be more focus on management and cash flow. In the 80s, there was focus on asset and asset value. In the 90s, there's going to be focus on cash flow and keeping debt down to minimum levels.
Trump's big cash cow at the moment is the Taj Mahal Casino, one of his 3 four-star casinos in Atlantic City. When the Taj opened, many called it the Donald's biggest gamble and predicted he'd end up with a losing hand. It hasn't turned out that way.
At one time, the Taj Mahal had to make $1 million a day, and it's doing about $1.5 million and $1.6 million a day. So the numbers have been phenomenal. Most people predicted that that building was going to lead to my downfall. That was, part of my problem was I had this cloud of this big, huge, unopened building, and they really thought that this building was going to be a catastrophe for me, and it's really turned out to be perhaps my best deal.
The best, the greatest, the most beautiful. Anyone who's heard Trump knows there's no room in his vocabulary for smaller words.
It's easier for me to talk about the greatest and the best when I'm talking about the Taj Mahal or when I'm talking about a Trump Tower than it would be if I was talking about lesser things. I don't think I'd be able to sell them.
Right now, Trump is selling his most ambitious product, Riverside South. If built as planned, Riverside South would dramatically change the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Trump wants to build 16 high-rise apartment buildings and a Riverside Park on the old Penn Railroad yards.
We're building a city within a city, a great city within a city. And it will keep me busy. I mean, there's no question that will keep me busy. It'll be, I think, my greatest artistic achievement when it's finished. I'm not sure about my financial achievement because I'm not sure about that yet. I can't tell you. I don't know what the markets are going to be, et cetera. But I think it will be my greatest artistic achievement.
With New York's real estate and construction industries still in recession, it could be some time before the first spadeful of earth is turned. But as you'd expect, Trump is optimistic, especially with Mr. Clinton going to Washington.
I think the most important thing that Clinton can do in terms of the economy is to get the real estate industry back into focus, to get housing construction, to get an incentive to build residential property. If he can bring back those incentives, you will see an economy that's going to start to roar. It's really going to come back.
I'm Christopher Jones, Fox News.
In the early 2000s, it became the catchphrase heard around the world. You're fired.
You're fired are giving Donald Trump a Trump-sized paycheck. Now, you know that's his catchphrase on his show, The Apprentice. He's reportedly making a good chunk of change from that show, too, about $6 million for just 16 episodes. But as you know, the billionaire really does not need that paycheck. In fact, he says it may sound like a lot of money, but real estate is actually a lot better.
In 2008, Donald Trump sat down with Fox 5 News anchor Rosanna Scotto to talk about the stock market, Wall Street regulations, and President Obama.
The economic aftershocks just keep coming. The stock market is coming off a big rally, but investors are still worried and wondering what's next. Yesterday, I sat down with Donald Trump at his office in Midtown to talk about this volatile economy and where he's putting his money. And as usual, he didn't hold back.
Well, the economy to me has been very interesting because it's a great opportunity. This is a fantastic opportunity to buy things. If you have money and or if you know what you're doing, this is a great, great opportunity to buy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Now, I'm not a stock person, fortunately, but real estate is phenomenal right now. If you're an investor, this is the time.
Your children are following in your footsteps. What advice do you have for them to weather this economy?
Well, I have great kids, and it was very interesting because until the last year, they never saw difficult times before. They never saw a bad time. Everything, they went to school, they went to the Wharton School of Finance in the case of Don and Ivanka, and they came out and all they did is see this. And I'm glad because you're always going to have the ups and downs. The question is how low does it go? Because this is really a bad time. And this is 1929 all over again, almost.
How low do you think it's going to go?
Well, I personally think it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think it's going to be perhaps even worse than that. I think it's going to be for a protracted period of time, for a fairly long period of time. We had a president who didn't do a great job, President Bush. This was not one of our great leaders. This was not Abraham Lincoln. This was not George Washington we're dealing with. And, hopefully Obama will do a good job.
What do you think, speaking of Obama, his plans to tax people making over $250,000 a year? In this economy, do you think that's a good idea?
Well, I don't think it was a good proposal, but I think it's going to be certainly on hold. The economy right now is so fragile that a move like that would throw this country into a major depression. Then you would have 1929. So I think he's going to be a very inspirational president. I hope he is. I hope he does a great job. And as I said the other day to somebody, if he doesn't do a great job, we're in big trouble. He can't do just a good job. He's got to do a great job. And great job is about people. He has to put the right people in place.
A lot of people are mad about Wall Street. They want to see somebody take the blame. Should the U.S. attorney look to see, is there somebody to blame here for this mess?
They got caught up in their own hype. They got so caught up, and lots of things were done. If you look at Lehman, trillions of dollars of deals and bad deals and horrible deals and Bear Stearns and so many others. And these were great names. You know, 3 years ago, when you said Bear Stearns, when you said Lehman, you were talking about the Rolls Royce of Wall Street. So there have been a lot of things, and I'm sure there was some shenanigans going on, but I think overall it was just exuberance.
Does there need to be more regulation on Wall Street?
I guess the answer is going to probably be a resounding yes.
How do you feel about some of those CEOs who are walking away with big golden parachutes or big bonuses?
Well, I hate to see where a company goes down the tubes and billions of dollars is lost and some guy walks away with 35 million cash or 90 million in one case in cash. So do I hate to see that? Yes. And I certainly think when they're borrowing money from the government, all of those golden parachutes should be ended. 100%.
Any advice for people who want to weather this storm?
Well, I think weathering the storm is interesting. If you're young and energetic and you have a future, I think it's a great time probably to, I mean, I love real estate. It's a great time to buy real estate. I think it's a great time to probably start thinking about buying stock. Now, I'm not a stock market person, fortunately, because I have friends of mine that make money in real estate that put it in the stock market and they were always bragging how well they're doing. Guess what? They're like 50% down. And those are the conservative ones. They're dying. But I think now, you know, I've never been a stock market person. I think now I'm thinking about going into the stock market.
And that was the news then.